Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world at the moment. I've got a number of people watching. I just wanted to say hi to Michael. He said it's cold in Queensland. It's cold in here in Melbourne. That's why I'm wearing the beanie today. Marcus is there. Ben Ashford's there. We were just talking to Ben before on the phone. Marcus is here and Francisco is here. Mavfan's here. I just wanted to talk about something that I've decided to do for my business. It may shock a few of you, but I've sort of thought about having a stopgap to get me through the rest of the year. Now, I'm not sure whether most of you are aware, and I'll talk about that in the live show that's on Thursday, your time in the US and England, or Friday here. But I'm going to talk about the delay that they're saying now that the A7 III, or these new cameras, are now going to be announced in the third quarter, which probably means that they're not going to be available to us, particularly here in Australia, and probably until early next year. Now, that is a bit of an issue for me because I was hoping it was going to be announced earlier than that, like in the next couple of weeks or so, and then it'd be out in the next few weeks after that. But that hasn't happened, so I've had to make a decision. Now, most of you know that I do fusion and stills in my business, and that's quite a strong part now of my business, is doing the video aspect as well as the stills aspect. So the delay of these new cameras has caused a bit of concern for me in the fact that wedding season starts for me in around about another month. So I've had to make a decision on what I want to do. So I've bought some new gear that's going to possibly tide me over, and I'm just going to see how this goes for the rest of the year. But I've decided to go a different way, and I'll mention that in a minute, what I've actually done. But there's a few things that I've decided to do. Like I said, video is incredibly important. So for me, I have to cover that aspect. Now, I've just sold my two A7 IIs. Now, I wasn't using that for video, but I was using it for stills. So I've had to replace that camera. So what I've decided to do, and this is where a few of you are probably going to be a bit shocked, is this. I've actually purchased the GH5, and I'm going to unbox this with you in a minute, and you can chime in the conversations to see what you guys think about this. This in no way means I'm dumping Sony. It's completely the opposite. The Panasonic Lumix that I've got is only going to replace the video side of things for me at the moment. There's a couple of reasons why I decided to do this. So I bought that, and I also bought the 25mm 1.4, and we'll have a look at these, and also the 12 to 35 2.8, and I've also got the 42 point something millimeter f 1.7 that I've got on order that gives me an 85mm range. So that's going to give me about a 50mm range on the crop factor of this. This gives you the 2470 range, and then the 45 that I've got gives you about an 85mm range. So I don't want people to think that I'm switching, and I'm not switching. The reason why that I've done this is because of the video aspect of it. This camera is only going to be used by me to capture part of the fusion aspect of my work. Obviously, I'm still going to be using my Sony for all of the photography side of things. This just isn't good enough for doing the photography for me. I want to be full frame, particularly for photography, and APS-C like I'm using the A6500 that you're seeing now. But there's a couple of things that interest me about this camera, and I'm hoping that Sony release something at the end of this year that will let me sell this, and then perhaps I can go back to Sony for the video side of it more. But what I'm actually doing is, the reason why I've done this is because I shoot a lot of 4K now. Nearly everything I shoot now is in 4K. Now, I don't want to be tying up my A7R to be shooting 4K because I love that for stills, and then it gets awkward if I can't use that. If it's stuck on a tripod or something like that, I can't use it. I will be still using the A6500 for video and stills because I'll be using my A6500 on a gimbal, because this just won't autofocus well enough for me in that case. I don't mind having to manual focus this. I actually quite enjoy doing manual focus, so that doesn't bother me at all, but it won't work well for autofocus, so I still will be using my A6500. Excuse me too if I sound hoarse, I've got a terrible cold and cough, so I might start coughing as we're talking. But so there's a couple of things that I thought about, and the reason why I'm doing this is particularly for the 4K 60p. Like I said, I shoot everything now in 4K for me, and that's important for these wedding videos that I'm doing, that I can shoot it. I do shoot in 4K, but sometimes it was a little bit frustrating that I couldn't slow that down, and that was a real issue for me. So I wanted the 4K 60p so that I could then shoot in that resolution and then slow that down to half speed in Final Cut, and then do these beautiful slow motion effects with the bride, etc., walking down through fields or whatever I'm going to do. So that's the reason why I've got this. Now I'm hoping, like I said, Sony at the end of the year releases a camera that will also do the 60p 4K, and I'm sure they will. But I do have to have a camera that I can use in the meantime for the weddings that I've got for the rest of the year, because I have a number of weddings booked starting in another month and a half or so. My wedding season kicks in again. So I've had to make a decision about what I had to do. Now, I knew that this would probably cause a bit of shock out there. Some people are saying, oh my God, he got a G5. Someone saying I'm a gigolo. So that's really, there's only two reasons that I wanted to do this at this stage. The main reason is the 4K 60p. The other reason why I want to do it is because of the articulating screen facing back to me. Because I'm doing now more of this sort of blogging and stuff like that and talking, it's going to be handy sometimes to have that monitor facing back to me. So that's another reason why I've done that as well. But like, clearly this is not going to affect my business side of things, because 90% of all of my photography work is going to be done with the Sony gear that I've got, and I still will be doing some video with the Sonys as well. So I just had to basically find a stopgap solution that I could use while I'm waiting for whatever Sony's going to do later in the year. And it also depends on what the specs are of these cameras that they release. It may not interest me, or I think they may be just too expensive. I don't know. Like, if they end up bringing out an A7 or an A7S3 or something like that, and it's 7,000 Australian like the A9 was that I've just got, I don't know if I can justify spending that just for the video. So that's why I've sort of made a decision to try and learn this gear that will tide me over. So it's going to be a mix that I'll be using, which is the Sony and the Panasonic. Now, like I've said to you, clearly I'm not switching. There's no way I'm letting my Sony gear go, because I adore that particularly for the photography side, and the A6500 is gorgeous as well for photography and video. The issue for me was that 4K 60p, which I'm just hoping that they release in the next version. So we'll just see. But let me know what you guys think about, what I'm saying. Some are saying he's still just a gas apprentice to the angry photographer. I'm not sure. If I had bought a Fuji, then you really probably would have had a go at me. But remember, guys, gear is gear. It doesn't really matter what you use. It's what's up here that matters. I still think clearly Sony is by far the best thing. My A9 is insane. I used that in a baby shoot the other day, and I couldn't, even though I hate doing baby shoots, and I did that because it was my daughter's, my son's baby. So I'll talk to you about that on the live show actually next week, because I did go outside my comfort zone, so I might talk to you about that. And like, the focus on that was just amazing. But I thought what we'll do anyway, we'll unbox this and we can have a look at it. And then, like I said, chime in some questions if you've got any questions. Let me just switch over to here. So if we look at this, the box here, how do you open this thing? Oh, down there. I got this yesterday and I didn't even open it up because I wanted you guys to sort of see it with me. And then I'll spend the day having a look at it. So obviously you've got your normal instructions, etc., which I'm not going to go through with you guys. This is log. I had to purchase the log. Luckily I got it thrown in with the camera. It's ridiculous. So you have to pay for a log upgrade to do your vlog, which is your flat profile. So I've had to purchase that as well, which I've got to install apparently, which is crazy. I can't believe a company would charge you to do a firmware update, but oh well, there you go. In here, there are obviously all your bits and pieces, battery and stuff like that. I have bought a spare battery. And this is obviously the camera. So let me move the box out the way. What else is in there? Oh, it's just the strap and stuff. So that's the camera. Yeah, so like I was saying, the main thing with this is how I can, why I'm interested in this is so that I can actually return that back and then it can be facing me, which I think is a really, really good thing. I'm just going to have to learn, like I say, about the focus, because from what I've seen with the autofocus in video particularly, it sucks. So you do have to be using your manual focus. But like I said, I don't mind doing manual focus. I used to do that in the film days and everything anyway, and stuff. So it doesn't really, that doesn't bother me at all. And then there's the 25mm 1.4 lens. And I looked at these in the store the other day, and they're actually really, really tiny. So I'll get rid of the box, and then you can have a look. It's just all gas, isn't it? Gear. Don't know how that goes on. I have to look. Oh, there we go. So that's the actual lens. Now, like I said, this is a 25mm. So this gives me about a 50 because it's a 2x crop factor on this camera. So that gives me a sort of nifty 50. I'm going to have to purchase the 35mm sort of lens like this, which I think is around about a 17 or something like that, a 15mm. So I will have to buy that because I do like that 35 focal length range. So I'm going to have to buy a prime that's that. And I also got this 12 to 35 as well, which I'll just take it out of the box. So this is the latest version of this. This is the version 2 because there's a couple of different versions of this that are out there. This has just been upgraded apparently. So I'll have a look. Gee, the lenses are really small though, I have to say. So this is the 12 to 35. So this is the equivalent of your Sony 2470. So it's the equivalent of that. And I've heard nothing but good reports about both of these lenses. Apparently, because this is stabilized, the stabilization on this camera is insane. You can also almost use it without a gimbal hand holding it. So that's the reason why I wanted to get this. And the 2470 focal length is quite a handy focal length for videos. So that's the setup that I bought. And like I said, I've got a 42.5, which gives me the 85mm coming from Amazon actually, so I'm just waiting on that to be delivered. So yeah, so it's an interesting thing that I've actually done. Like I said, I've decided to do this basically just to see what happens in the next 6 to 7 months, to see what Sony releases in the video side of things. Let me just go up and see what people. Snapchick said, "I'm SnapClick. What were you thinking?" He said Casey Neistat uses it for vlogs and autofocus on its all. Yeah, and it is. Look, I agree with you. The autofocus sucks. And that's the thing with it. But like I said, I don't mind doing manual focus because apparently the manual focusing on this is very, very good. And your focus peaking is very accurate. Unlike Sony, I've found sometimes it's not quite accurate enough, but the focus peaking on this is meant to be really, really good. I mean, possibly what might happen is Sony are going to release some kick-ass 4K 60p camera at the end of the year, and I'll sell this and then buy that. But like I said, I definitely needed some stopgap to enable me to shoot that 4K 60 at the moment, which I just can't do with the Sonys at the moment. And it was becoming a little bit frustrating in that I wanted to slow that 4K footage down, and I just couldn't do it with using the Sony. So that's the reason why I've tried this, and I'm going to see how it goes. Now, like I said, it doesn't mean I'm getting rid of any of my Sony gear. I'm not. I'm still using that just like I was. The only thing this will replace is that video side of it, where if I'm shooting the ceremony, this will be on the tripod shooting the ceremony and stuff like that. If I'm using a gimbal, I'm going to be using my A6500 or the A6300 because they're great with autofocus and they're very light and I can use them on the gimbal. So I still will be using multiple cameras together, but I really needed a better solution for the video side of it. I can't tell you guys how much the video is making my business grow. So that's a really important aspect for me. And shooting in 4K gives so much of an advantage against what other people are doing. So having the ability to shoot that 4K 60p for me is a really important a really important thing. So you're not going to see any changes from me. I might do the occasional review of how this works, but 99% of what I'm going to be doing is still just going to be Sony, guys. I'm still going to be working the same way, using the same things. This won't be used for photography. I may use this occasionally, but very, very rarely, because the Sony gear is just so good for photography. So, there's no way known it's going to change the look of my photography. That's not going to happen. So I didn't want you all to panic and thinking, I was switching. I'm not. I'm still 99% Sony. This is just a camera that I've bought just to help me with that video side of things. Because, like I said, I just needed to do it. So throw some questions in. Let's have a bit of discussion about what you're thinking. Like a lot of you were saying, gas. I know, look, people are saying you sound like Sue Bruce. Is that the Australian accent? It could be also my cold. I got a shocking cold. I had to go to the doctor's yesterday. I've got this massive cough and cold, and I'm on antibiotics, so I'm hoping I improve fairly quickly. That's why I've got my hat on, keep me warm. So let me know if you have any questions. Let me know what you think. Let me know if any of you have used this camera. I did used to own the GH4 and I sold it. So I am used to using the Panasonic system. I sold that when I sold my Nikon gear and moved over to the Sony. Because in those days it just wasn't good enough. Apparently the low light on this now is much better. You can use this up to about 3200. So in no way is it anywhere near as good as what my Sony gear is for using in low light. So again, that's where I'll be using my Sony. If we're in receptions and it's very dull or dark, I'll be switching back to the Sony. So I'm in a good position that, in fact, what I can do is change between systems. So I have got that ability to shoot this for the 4K 60p, and then if I want to, I can then immediately switch back to the Sonys if I find that the Panasonic is struggling in low light or autofocus and things like that, then I may need to run and gun and have autofocus running. Well, then clearly I can use my other cameras that I've got for that, because the A6500 and the A7R2 are very good in the autofocus. So the other thing that I like about this too is saying, you traitor, you have only to shoot Sony. So the thing with it is, as well, sometimes I hated having... I used to use my A7R2 quite a bit for video, and I hated that because I couldn't use it for the photography. So sometimes if I was shooting and then I wanted to grab my A7R2 to do a shot and I couldn't do it, I did get frustrated because I adore the A7R2, and that would be the same with the A9. Well, now I don't have to worry about that so much because this G5 will take over that point of it. So then I can just be using my A7R2 whenever I need to. So there's big advantages in that too. You just can't beat the Sony full frame cameras. Snapclicker said, I hope Nikon mirrorless uses their full frame lenses. Yeah, and we had a discussion about that last time, and I'm not sure whether it's going to be possible to use their full frame lenses because of that flange distance with these mirrorless cameras. So it's going to be interesting, and that's why Sony have had such issues with their adapters for Nikon cameras. So they may have to come out with specialty lenses for that. So it's going to be interesting to see. I know you were joking, Ulysses. I know. So some people are saying Fuji sparked their interest, and you know what? I'd love to try Fuji as well. I love gear. And Snapclick is saying the A7R2 is amazing, and I know I'm not going to sell that camera. I don't think I will. If there's a new A7 III or A9, whatever it is, I don't think I'll be getting it because I don't think I want to be using 60 megapixel files, which is the rumoured megapixel size of that camera. I'm quite comfortable now. I've got an A9, I've got the A7R2, I've got the A6500, the A6300, and now the G5 for video as well. That's, like I said, that's going to be more for permanent video. So now I think I've got a pretty good kit to tide me over now for the next 6 months or so until I see what Sony release at the end of the year. And like I said, I don't know whether I'll even purchase the new video camera from Sony because it may just be too expensive for me to just purchase a $7,000 camera just for Fusion. So I'm going to have to see what they offer in that. So, I'll let you know. Snackclick said they sold their 200 f2. Oh, I would too. I would regret selling that too. That must be an amazing lens. The separation from that must be incredible. David is a two-sided pimp. He likes two girls but doesn't know when to make up his mind. I hope you're not talking about Susie, Keith, are you? Oh, dear. Oh, I knew. That's why I thought I'll do this live. I didn't want to just start using the Panasonic on the side of things, and then you're seeing there's a difference, and then working out what on earth is going on and why do the reviews potentially look a little bit different. So, now I'm doing a studio shoot this weekend, which I'm going to film for you guys. I've got a couple of amazing backdrops and a couple of amazing ideas, and I'm going to show probably next week. I'll start to post them, so you'll see those from next week. So I'm looking forward to showing you that. And I'll have the live show obviously on Friday as well. I'm going to start up the business episodes again too. I've just been too busy. I've had a lot of people asking about the setting up your business, and I am still going back to that, even though it's been around nearly 3 weeks since I went back on that. The thing I have to sort of stress to you guys is unlike a lot of YouTubers, I am working full-time photographer, so that photography side of things has to come first. So I've been incredibly busy over the last 3 weeks with stuff in the studio and outside. It's been nuts. So I haven't had time to get back to that setting up your business, so I will definitely get back to that. I'll try and do another one this week, and then hopefully I can start a bit more next week. But I've been doing things like wedding albums and doing everything else, and it's been crazy. But I will be getting back to that, guys, for the people that are waiting for it. So, yeah, I promise I will get back to that. So did you have any other questions before we finish? That was all I really wanted to talk to you today about. That I just didn't want you to think I was making the switch, which I'm not. Remember, this is just a tool to help me get the video images that I need that Sony just can't give me. That's the only reason I did this, because Sony just can't give me this at the moment. Hopefully the end of the year that this might change. Like I said, I'll give a review of this and see how it fits in with me. Keith said, do your business first, David. Yep, and he says we understand. Thanks so much for that, Keith. Yeah, I just felt like I was letting you guys down because I hadn't put anything up, and I was getting a lot of people messaging me asking when it's going to come, because like I said, I do want to do that for you guys. And if you haven't looked at it yet, you can go, because it's all there. There's around about 5 or 6 videos that I've done. The next one is going to be on my bags that I use. And then after that, we're going to actually start on how I set up my business, and we'll look at software and how I talk about contracts and everything. So that's still coming. Like I said, I wanted to give that back to you guys, so it's still definitely coming, guys. Snapclick said, David, where do you get all this energy stamina? I did 1 2-hour shoot today and I'm done. I know, I don't know actually sometimes how I do it. This is the first cold I've had in 5 years, and it's hit me bad. Like I said, I had to go to the doctor yesterday. That's why I sound so hoarse. But I'm just, thank God I didn't have any weddings this weekend. But yeah, so I don't know. Perhaps I'm just a bit run down myself. So I'll let you know how this all goes, because some of you may be interested to see how you can use something like this Panasonic with your Sony gear together. Because a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll tend to just have one system or the other. I adore my Sony gear. I absolutely adore it. So, and that's why I wanted to make sure you all understood that I wasn't switching. And this is just going to be an aid to help me do both. The video, the fusion side of it, as well as the stills. So you'll sort of see that in the coming months, and you may be interested to see how it works for me. It may not work at all, and then I'll have to make a decision on whether I sell this. I'll definitely not be selling the Sony gear, but this may not work, and I'll have to let you know how it goes over the coming months. So it's going to be interesting. So if we got any last questions, guys, before I go? If not, like I said, I'll hopefully have another video up soon, but I'll definitely see you for this live show on your Thursday. David, did you hear anything about the Godox T350S's flash? No, is that a new one, Richard, is it? Coming out. Miso soup, David. Yeah, I should probably try some soup. It might help me a little bit. I need something, that's for sure. I'm on antibiotics, and they gave me a puffer, even though I don't have asthma. They gave me this puffer yesterday. No, let me know about that Godox flash. I noticed the other day that one of the other companies went broke, flash companies. I'll talk about that in my live show on Friday. They're saying if you're coming down with a cold, try miso soup. Yeah, I should try something like that. I need something. So let me know, guys, any quick questions. Otherwise, I'm going to be off. I'm going to go get my morning coffee, and I'll see you again for the shoot on, definitely the live shoot on your Thursday, my Friday. I may have a video up tomorrow or the next day too of the my camera gear that I use, the cases that I use to lug all this wedding stuff around, which will go in that wedding series that I'm actually doing, the wedding and portraits system. Hunter 63 is from New Jersey. Hi, mate. How you going? Nice to see you on here. I haven't seen you here before, I don't think. Yeah, it is Bowen's going under, I think. Yeah, it could affect their amount. I'm not sure what's going to happen there. I'm going to talk about that on the live show later in the week, because it's an interesting scenario. They're really being undercut, obviously, by all of these Chinese manufacturers, which are doing good gear. So we can talk about that later on. All right, guys. Well, we might leave it there for the rest of the day. Like I said, I'll give a review of that camera just so that you can see it, but I'm not going to turn this into a Panasonic GH5 review site. It's just not what I really want to do. Like I said, I want to concentrate more on Sony. But you will see me using this, so I sort of have to give you an inkling about how it's being used. So I'll let you know how that sort of works together. People are all talking about this Bowens accessories. Yeah, I think I think someone will take over the accessories, because that's a standard mount snap click. I can't see them getting rid of the mount. I think that'll just become a generic mount to everyone's. They must have licensed it to them, but whether that can then be bought, I'm sure it will, because it's used by so many people. Vic has said, do you have staff? Yes, I do. I have 2 people working with me, Vic. It depends at the time. Sometimes I have 1 permanent staff member, but I then have others that I hire or use for when I'm shooting videos, like doing the fusion in weddings and stuff. I usually hire people. Or sometimes what I'll do is I'll let people starting new in the business help me, and they follow me on the day, and they learn how I do all this, and they just carry my gear and stuff like that for the day. But I have 2 people that I definitely pay to do this as well, but sometimes I need more than that. But yeah, I have 2 staff that I have. Well, that's about it. So, all right, guys, well, we might leave it there for today. And if I don't see you in the video for my camera cases and gear that I use, I'll see you for the live show on your Thursday, Friday here in Aussie. I'm going to go and get a coffee, and I've got the man flu, so I have to be looked after today and pampered. And my wife has to take care of me for the rest of the day. As you guys will all know, if you've got man flu, there's nothing worse. Girls just don't understand what the man flu is like. All right, guys, so we might leave it there for the day. No, just before I leave, Vic said office staff. No, I don't, Vic. I do that, and my wife does that. So, you know, we do that between the both of us. I don't want to justify and I'll talk about that when we go through business side of things. I don't want to have too many people that I've got to pay and worry about. I like to have everything done in-house, and I like to be in control of nearly all that side of it. But I'll talk about that when we go through marketing and how I set up my business and stuff like that, Vic. So that will come through that series that I'm producing. I've done a playlist on that if you wanted to watch it. You can see the start of it, which talks about hardware that I'm using. All right, guys. That's about it for today. And I'll see you again soon for the next video. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll let you know how everything goes. Bye for now.